Hi, this is Brandy Shantz, and you are listening to Living Chronic. Today, I am speaking with Jessica Bartley of New Hope Natural Healing. So, welcome, Jessica.
You. Great to be talking to you.
So, Jessica, I know you have suffered from chronic illness your entire life. Many of us get a surprise diagnosis. You've actually been dealing with this for your entire life. So, tell me a little bit about what it's like just growing up with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so for me, the earliest that I can kind of remember it starting was when I was about 3 years old. So I would wake up. In fact, my parents had me tested for arthritis even back then because I would wake up in the morning and my legs would be so stiff I would just clomp down the stairs. I couldn't bend them. And so they naturally thought, oh my goodness, maybe she's got arthritis or something like that. Had me tested for it. Nothing came back. That wasn't the problem. Then even like at age 4, I had all of my teeth, my baby teeth were very quickly decaying to the point where they covered them with metal caps. Of course, now I have an idea that that can come from mineral deficiencies, but back then we didn't know that or understand that, and so that was the only course of action to get me to keep my teeth. But then beyond that, it just progressed over the years, and everything from I could predict the weather. I could predict the weather because as soon as a weather pattern would come in, I would just my whole body would ache. And
Mhm.
then into headaches when I was in my teen years. I started seeing a chiropractor at 14, and I didn't realize how much I had adapted my life to it. It was just
Right.
what I expected. This continuous, and even gut issues from when I was in my teens, hormone issues, all sorts of things that I just thought was normal. I mean, if you would have
Mhm.
asked me, I had an inflammatory type pain. All of this it was just normal. I just thought that I thought it was everybody that had these things going on. And then, as I would talk to people and I would hear that that's not what they were dealing with, they weren't in, chronic pain from the time that they were really little. I learned that and I think, well, it's just me, or it's just my family. My family has a history of autoimmune issues,
Yeah.
various other, my mom was chronic with various different health issues from when I was very, very young. And I just thought, oh, well, that's just how it has to be. That's just my family. That's just me.
Mhm.
We're all like this. And it was just something that I thought that I just had to accept and could never do anything about.
Right.
And then when I was actually in my 30s, I had that escalating issue that many people have, where I started one day just passing out and having seizures. And the doctor, they took me to the ER, of course, because I just kept
Mhm.
over and over and over going into what we thought were these seizures. And they pumped me with medication, all sorts of things. The doctors couldn't pull me out of it. My body just kept going into about every 15 to 20 minutes these cycles of what looked like seizures. And eventually my body worked its way out of that same day. I ended up they had me in cardiac ICU, and of course
Yeah.
they checked me over and they said, "Well, you're the healthiest patient we've ever had here."
Mhm.
And but there was something going on. Something was wrong.
Yes.
And my body just didn't recover after that. And so I went from feeling chronic prior to that to the chronic totally escalating for me at that point.
Yes. It's interesting. There's similar threads for all of us. I keep saying that I've learned that so quickly doing this podcast. Some things are the same, and one of them is we all get used to feeling some sort of unhealthy feeling, pain, gut issues, whatever it may be. We become so used to it that the first time you feel health, it's surreal.
Oh my goodness.
Just don't even understand.
Absolutely.
It's I didn't believe that I was in remission for the longest time. I just thought, "My goodness, this can't be real. This feels so odd," because
Absolutely. And it
I'm
was
doing it every day.
yes, yes. And as I did end up working through and getting things in check, I mean, even experiences that I used to have before, where it wasn't too long ago, I sat in a conference and I thought, I just get to focus on what the speaker's saying. I don't have to sit here and check in with, oh my God, oh my goodness, how's my body doing? How
Yep.
am I okay? I don't have to sit here and go, oh my goodness, I'm so uncomfortable. that I can't manage to focus on what I'm here to learn. I can just sit here and learn, and this is amazing. you know, and
Yeah,
it's
so
so yeah, even like everyday experiences. Yeah, going shopping. It's like I can go shopping and I'm not in pain. I can go shopping and not get a headache, or all of these things that before I didn't have a chance of experiencing, and it's just been amazing.
Mhm. So another one of those common threads, we have so many that we're all experiencing, we're all in this club together, is many of us have felt that we've been failed by doctors. Not
Yeah.
that always. I know that I've had a lot of doctors who've helped me. I can say a doctor has saved my life. That's certain. But they also fail us in so many ways. The majority of people in this world, in this country, suffering from autoimmune diseases are women. I believe I've read about
Yes.
80% of people suffering from autoimmune diseases in the United States are women.
Yes.
And of course, women are also more likely to be misdiagnosed than a man as well. So we have both of these things working together, and then when you compound that with the fact that doctors just don't know a lot about autoimmune diseases, they don't say I don't know very often, but they don't know. They, in fact, don't know. So you've had that same experience, like so many of us have, and you decided to take things into your own hands. So tell me a little bit about this natural healing and the muscle testing that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in that exact place. So I had gone to all of the traditional doctors. I had seen all of the specialists. I had seen the heart doctors. I had seen the my traditional general practitioner. I had seen so many other neurologists and so many others, autoimmune specialists, and most of them, outside of saying, well, we believe you have something autoimmune going on. We don't know if we can identify exactly what it is. Uh, we aren't really sure. And in fact, the doctor that I saw after I was having the seizures repeatedly ended up just diagnosing me with the fact that I just needed to eat more salt. And I was just amazed. Oh my goodness, you're one of the top specialists in this area, and I just need to eat more salt. And
Flabbergasted.
I was flabbergasted. I was like, what do you mean this is all you can come up with for me? And of course, that was not the solution for me. By that point, I was in a spot where, I am a very high energy person, if you can't tell. and I was at a spot where my body was just, it was not functioning. I was not able to eat anymore. I could eat 12 foods, was all I could eat without having horrible reactions to them. I couldn't even be in a room where nightshades had been cooked. So like something like tacos or chili or anything like that, it would set me back for months.
Mhm.
And I was just being told to eat more salt. I couldn't survive getting through a day, but I just needed to eat more salt. And of course, I tried eating more salt, and
Try
that
everything,
didn't
don't
help
we?
me. And then I went to, so from that path, after not getting the results that I needed in that direction, I then went down the path of trying natural practitioners. So I
Mhm.
tried integrative medicine, that did both. I got some nice, I got some tips there, or some things that helped me make some progress, helped me do things like balancing out my hormones. But I still was not getting better.
Mhm.
And I tried, I don't even know how many different natural health practitioners, traditional practitioners, and just was really struggling. And it was about that time that somebody that I knew that was having, very chronic health issues as well said, well, there's this place that I know that I'm trying, and they do muscle testing. And I thought, well, I've tried everything else, and I had heard about muscle testing before, but I didn't really know much about it, and I didn't really have a real good clue of what all it could do for me. And so I went to that practitioner, and it was really interesting the fact that they could ask my body questions, and they could get either a strong or a weak response from my body. And I continued to see that practitioner, and I got some benefit. I was starting to do things like get my energy back, react a little
Mhm.
less to things, but I really felt like I plateaued, and I felt like it just wasn't getting any better. And so it was about that time then that I thought, well, I was told, well, you can just do this yourself. You can learn to muscle test yourself. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll give this a try. And I tried it, and I could just do it right away. And there are some people who can do it right away. There's some people who need to practice at it. I could just do it right away. I have a very good feel for my body. I'm very, aware of it, very sensitive to it. Probably formed by all of these years of having to be, and I learned a muscle test. And, for me, it started out being just a helpful tool because I could ask my body, muscle testing. I guess I should explain that because people may not know that, but testing is essentially a way for your body to say, yes, something is good for me, or no, something is bad for me. And this is a built in response that everybody's body has in it. Your body naturally is energized and drawn to, and it's strong by things that are good for it. Even people, you even have that response to people where some people, make you feel good and they make you kind of lean into the conversation. You naturally draw to it. And other people, you draw back from it, and they're not a good fit for you energetically. And they're not, and your body has that same response. Everything in nature, in all reality, has that response of strong when something is good for it and weak when something is bad for it. And you can learn using your fingers, using, a lot of practitioners do it using their arm. But you can learn to get that feel for a yes, no from your body.
Mm.
And I learned to do that. And then I could start to ask my body things like, am I reacting negatively to this food? Is this, the 12 foods that I could eat at the time? Do I have to stop eating one of these 12 too? Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But I could start to ask, will I respond positively to this supplement? Will this supplement help me? And it helped me start to just navigate things that were good for me and things that were bad for me. But even with that, I felt like I plateaued. And one of the things that most people who get to know me know about me is that I am like one of the most determined human beings on this planet. I
Mhm.
am convinced that there is a solution to pretty much every problem, and I am determined to find it.
Right.
And that's how I was with my health. I was at a spot that I couldn't keep living how I was. I couldn't keep only eating 12 foods, um, feeling, just waking up like my body's on fire every single day. There were so many things that was interfering within my life that I had to figure this out. And it was about that time that another actually practitioner who did muscle testing said to me that it's all in the questions.
Right.
And it really got me thinking about like, okay, I can ask my body these questions and I can get yes, no responses from it. What are the right questions?
Mhm.
Um, and when I really started to think on that, the first question that, or the first thing that kind of came to mind with that was, well, what's the number one thing my body needs in order to heal? Like, why can't I just ask that question?
Right.
And can that question get me to what I need in order to actually start to kind of unwind and unravel all of these problems? And so I started asking my body that question, and I came up with a homeopathy to detox mercury.
Mhm.
And I started to take that. And oh my goodness, the change in my body was amazing. I
Mm.
could tell within just a day of getting the right thing going into my body that it was responding positively for the first time. Truly, like at the core of what was going on with me.
Mhm.
And I started detoxing mercury probably for the first time since I was, 4 years old and had all of those metal caps put on my teeth. and and from there, I just continued to build on that skill using muscle testing and asking my body these questions that really allowed me to get into root cause until I'm to the place where I am today, where I can eat all the foods. I don't wake up and I'm not burning. I'm amazed at how I'm 44 years old now, and I'm amazed at how a body can feel when
Yeah.
it is truly healthy. It's amazing to me. I never knew that this could even be possible. It's just, yeah, I'm still floored by it. Every day I am thankful and blessed
Anybody
by it.
who has reached some level of health, of remission, depending on whatever that first moment of feeling healthy really is. I mean, it's so hard to put into words. Maybe we could
It's
put it
life
into a
changing.
beautiful painting. It's like the whole world opened up to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, people live like this every day. How about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was clueless prior to that.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
what? A life without pain? What is this?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a little bit about this in the past. Um, you know, The relationship between your mind and your body is
Yeah.
so strong, so strong. And, we've also talked about, you know, don't let a doctor tell me that because I'm in there and I'm ready, my fists are up. I'm ready for a fight when I'm in with the doctor. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of all their stuff. But when we're speaking with each other, it's like, well, I have learned the mind is kind of a powerful tool. And, I've been working through a lot of anxiety with exercise and moving my body. Every little thing I feel, I'm like, oh my God, everything's back. Take me off all my drugs. It's very scary. And you had talked about how a lot of people asked you, well, do you think that this is a bit of a placebo effect? And I love what you said to me. You said, who cares? you know, find,
Absolutely.
find what works for your head, right?
Yeah, when you are, I mean, do I think it's a placebo? Not at all. I've seen physical, like, I've used this process. For example, I actually had a 13-year-old that I was working with recently, and she was paralyzed. She had got paralyzed within a week's time frame. She lost her ability from the waist down to move.
Hmm.
And I was working with her. She was also working with traditional doctors at the time doing physical therapy. But doctors had said we don't know what's going on. And so we're going to do physical therapy and see how that helps. And she needed that. That was absolutely a great move for her. But she also, I muscle tested for her that she had nickel in her brain, and she had had braces put on recently, and braces contain nickel, and I didn't know that until I started working with her and figuring that out. And it took about 2 months, and it took quite a bit of work, but ultimately she is fully back to normal. And so I've seen those types of results for people that I truly do not believe that it is all in the head. However, I recognize how key the mind is to you're all one. You're all one person. Your mind and your body are not detached. They're not two separate beings. They're all a part of one being. And the mind is powerful. And I believe that there are, so many changes that can be made just to the mind that can impact the body, and so many changes to the body that impact the mind. And it's so normal that I see, as I work with different people, in my practice, as I work with different people who are experiencing what they would, determine, physical things, they're also dealing with all of the mental things too,
Hmm.
because those physical things, they just take the mental right down with it.
Into,
And and then you get those physical things addressed, and they have the ability to bolster the
mhm.
mental. But it's also the opposite way, that the mental can take the physical down. And I will tell you, when I first started working with this, my husband and I had that conversation at the time of, he's like, do you think this is really helping, or do you think, and my response was, I don't care one iota. I don't care if it's a placebo. I don't care. I just care that I get out of this.
Yeah.
This is not livable where I was at. I just care that I get out of it. And if it's all placebo, wonderful.
Yeah.
As long as it works, I don't care. I don't care how. I don't care. I just care that I get out of it. And so that is very much, the case. You're one being. You don't have two separate compartments that are not impacted by each other. The mind and the body, they're all one. You're all one being. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So many of us are still struggling. I think we all struggle every day, and it's a lifelong struggle. You
yeah,
know, the physical starts going down, your mental starts going down. You want to try to help the mental, but sometimes it takes the physical getting better first. But
right. It's like the
don't
chicken or the egg.
under control. The physical is going to continue to get worse. So it's this back and forth constantly of trying to balance that physical rehab with the mental rehab, and just being able to help yourself both ways simultaneously. And I think that's the big point. Maybe that's just what I should put on a big poster board and bring in with me at the doctor simultaneously. I'm doing my part mentally, you do your part physically, and we'll meet in the middle. We'll come together on this.
Right, right. We need both.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
need both because they do. Yeah. Yep. And even just the belief, one of the things that I often work, because I work with people who are often so chronic.
Mhm.
One of the things that we often end up talking about first is, do you even believe that your body can get better? Do you even
Good
believe
question.
that you're capable of
Mhm.
healing? Do you believe that this can work for you? Do you believe there's anything that can work for you? And I've worked with so many people that are so defeated by the time they're coming to somebody, finding somebody like me, because it's usually after they've exhausted almost everything else that could be tried. before they come to me. And oftentimes they're in a spot of thinking like, I don't know if anything can work with me, work for me. I don't think anything can. And we often have to, you know, we can still work with that. We can still work to prove like this is possible, this is capable. Your body is designed in a way to heal when you can get it the right things.
Yes.
But oftentimes, if you can sort of flip that switch for somebody to the point where they actually believe that this can make a difference for them, the pace at which they will get better, the pace at which things will start to change for them is so much faster than when in their mindset that nothing is going to work for them too. And so even just that piece of the power that the mind plays into your body's ability to remedy things is very important.
Yep.
Absolutely.
If I could wave a wand and make changes in our society, when you go to see a doctor, I would make it a team effort where you're also seeing a psychologist, psychiatrist, and nutritionist. It all comes together.
Yeah.
You can't just do one. Got to have
Yep.
it all. Got to have it all together.
Being.
And it's different.
Absolutely. And that's what I've loved about muscle testing is that, one of the things that I find that it's really great at is, the core, the reason why it's worked so well is the fact that when I muscle test for somebody or I teach muscle testing, I teach them how to do this process on their own. They are getting what is custom to their body and it's looking at the whole body. So often our doctors today, even our natural health practitioners often, they take the natural health practitioners often take a broader look, but often the doctors are specialized. They're specialized to look at the kidneys or to look at the heart or to look at the brain or to look at the mindset, the psychology, but they're not set to look at the whole. And that is what I love, absolutely love. And what I think so much of the power of muscle testing is the fact that it looks at the whole. And if
Mhm.
part of what somebody needs is somebody, I had somebody recently, again, very, very chronic that I'm working with. And one of the things that she was actually testing for was that she needed an outlet. She needed an outlet for all of this angst that she's feeling over her health. And she likely was not getting that outlet from just her normal sources. And I said, I want you to find a friend that you can just bare your soul to.
Yes.
And that's what her body muscle tested for, was that she needed a verbal outlet for all of these feelings. And she actually muscle tested for that, not just for, supplements or other things that would help her body, but actually for that psychological piece of it as well. And that's what you're able to do when you look at muscle testing is you can actually assess whole body, not just a part of it, but
Right.
whole body and say, what is custom to me? What is right for me? And
Mhm.
work out a plan that is specific to you, not generic, because that's a lot of the other problems with our medical system is it works on norms or averages or,
Right.
the typical. But most of us who are in this state, we're not typical. There's nothing normal about us,
Stop.
you know.
Exactly. Stop comparing me to the norm. Thank you.
I'm not norm.
And it's what's so funny about it is you would think this has already been established. You would think this would already be very well established.
Right.
Not
But
normal.
it's not.
Normal. That doesn't feel as normal. Are you kidding?
I'm here. That's
Even
why I'm here.
my abnormal disease, Crohn's disease, which is not a normal disease. It's not, that common. Even within that, I'm abnormal because my Crohn's disease attacks my stomach. Why? I don't know.
Right.
Think outside the
Yes.
box, please.
Yep, exactly. And that's exactly where I was. I was so sensitive at the time that I was at my worst. I was so sensitive that almost anything anybody would try to do with me, I would just react horribly to.
Yes.
I mean, even physical treatment modalities, even again, foods, anything I was exposed to in the air, any types of even whether it was supplements or even a pharmaceutical that I would try to take. If there was something on that interaction or or the interactions list or the things that you would act abnormally to symptoms, I would end up with that.
Right.
And I wasn't normal. And so, I needed something to break me out of that state of excessive sensitivity And there was just nothing in the repertoire of, normal doctors to look at that and to do that. And I give them credit, they tried everything that they knew in their toolbox.
Right.
And even the natural practitioners, again, tried everything in their toolbox, and I made more, some progress that way. But until I really could figure out what was going on with me, that was, again, abnormal. It wasn't normal. It was totally abnormal.
Mhm.
What was going on with me, and get into that with the muscle testing. That's really what allowed me to then figure out my way out.
That's
And
amazing.
now I would say I'm much more normal,
I love that N word, normal. Yeah, it feels good. It's a warm fuzzy. I really love that you found your way. There's just so many different ways, that many chronically ill patients have looked at to get better. And often it's often a mix of, traditional medicine and, the out of the box stuff that we're just out here looking for. And, muscle testing, I love the success rate of this and how much better you're feeling, and just finding what's right for you, because that's what most of us out here are trying to do. Just find what's going to work for us so that we can get up each morning and live our lives like that normal person. Just be the good word, normal. so
Absolutely.
so where can everybody find you? You have
Yeah. So my website is newhopenaturalhealing.com. I'm also on Facebook with that name, Instagram. I've got a YouTube channel out there under that name as well. And I quickly, after I used this methodology to resolve things for myself, I started, of course, doing the whole friends and family, you know, let's see if this works for friends and family, and find a few, willing participants there. And just was able to, I was so blessed to be able to help, several friends and several family members out of their chronic states. And that's when I decided, okay, I need to do something more with this. This works. This works in a way that other things are not working for people, and people are so desperate. And so I started a practice, New Hope Natural Healing. And I quickly, after recognizing how many people needed help, and how many people this was really working for, I'm teaching it now, because I recognize that getting this tool into, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I didn't go to years of medical school, and I can do this. And I have taught others to do this same thing, and placing their health into their own hands, helping them be able to figure out when they get exposed to something new, or when something crops up for them, what's bothering them, and they can have the skills themselves. And again, I still advise see a doctor, all those things, but to have that ability to test, muscle test for themselves, and figure out what their body's going through and what it can actually use to work through that situation. It's just so powerful that I can't imagine living life without it. And it's given me a confidence that whatever comes my way from a health scenario, I've got the tools and the resources to figure it out and to work through it. And that is such a powerful, confidence boosting, just, and again, talk about being good for the mind.
Yeah.
It's such a great thing. And so placing that into the hands of others and teaching them this skill that they can learn, it's just, I'm looking to change lives with it. That's the reality. It's a mission for me to
Yeah.
change lives with it, because it's been so life changing for me.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear how much better you're doing. And hopefully, this might work for some of the listeners. They can reach out to you, learn more about muscle testing and getting well through these natural remedies. So
I
thank you
would
for being here with me today, Jessica. I really appreciate it. And hopefully a few more people out there can get some help.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.